The first sign of trouble was the rattling. The second was the smoke. Adrian Castellano gripped the steering wheel of his rented sedan as it shuddered and groaned, limping along a two-lane highway that stretched endlessly through the Texas prairie. The GPS had lost signal 20 miles back. His phone showed 1 bar of service, and the late afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the asphalt. "No, no, no," he muttered as the car gave one final sputter and died completely, coasting to a stop on the shoulder. Adrian sat in the sudden silence, broken only by the ticking of the cooling engine and the whisper of wind through tall grass. He'd driven from Austin on impulse, fleeing, really, after the worst week of his 34 years. His partnership at the law firm had fallen through. His boyfriend of 3 years had confessed to cheating, and his mother had called to remind him that he was wasting his life being difficult about his sexuality. So he'd gotten in a car and driven, destination unknown, just needing to escape the suffocating weight of his perfectly curated New York existence. Now here he was, broken down in the middle of nowhere, Texas, which felt like a metaphor for his entire life. Adrian pulled out his phone. 1 bar flickered to no service and laughed bitterly. Of course. He stepped out into the heat, squinting against the glare. The landscape was beautiful in a stark, lonely way. Endless sky, rolling prairie, distant hills purple in the haze. Not another car in sight. He was weighing his options, none of them good, when he heard it, the rumble of an engine. A pickup truck appeared on the horizon, growing larger as it approached. Adrian's city-bred instincts screamed danger, but desperation won out. He waved his arms. The truck slowed and pulled onto the shoulder behind his car. A man emerged, and Adrian's breath caught. He was tall, 6'2" at least, with broad shoulders stretching a faded denim shirt. Sun-weathered skin, strong jaw shadowed with stubble, dark hair curling slightly beneath a worn Stetson. He moved with the easy confidence of someone completely comfortable in his own skin, his boots kicking up small clouds of dust as he approached. "You all right?" His voice was deep, touched with a Texas drawl that sent an unexpected shiver down Adrian's spine. "Car died," Adrian managed, suddenly aware of how out of place he must look in his designer jeans and button-down shirt. "I'm not sure what happened." The man tilted his hat back, revealing warm brown eyes that assessed the situation with calm intelligence. "Mind if I take a look?" "Please, I'm Adrian, by the way." "Cole," he offered his hand, large, calloused, surprisingly gentle. "Cole Brennan." While Cole examined the engine, Adrian found himself studying him with an attorney's eye for detail. Mid-30s, probably. Work-hardened body that spoke of physical labor, not gym memberships. Faint scars on his forearms. Wedding ring finger conspicuously bare, though there was a tan line suggesting one had been there recently. "Well," Cole said, straightening and wiping his hands on his jeans, "your radiator's cracked and you've blown a gasket. This car's not going anywhere without a tow." Adrian's heart sank. "Is there a mechanic nearby?" "Cedar Creek's about 8 miles up the road. Jimmy's shop can fix you up, but he closes at 6. Cole checked his watch, a simple, practical piece that matched everything else about him. "It's 1:15 now. He might still be there if we hurry, but even so, he won't have parts till tomorrow at the earliest." "Tomorrow," Adrian repeated flatly. "There's a motel in town, clean, reasonable, better than being stranded out here after dark." Cole's expression was kind, understanding. "I can give you a lift." Adrian should have been wary, strange man, middle of nowhere, all the warnings his mother had drilled into him. But something in Cole's steady gaze felt safe, trustworthy. "I'd appreciate that," Adrian said. "Thank you." The inside of Cole's truck was clean but lived in. A thermos of coffee in the cup holder, work gloves on the dash, the faint scent of leather and hay. Country music played softly on the radio. "So what brings you out this way?" Cole asked as they drove, his hands relaxed on the wheel. "Needed to clear my head," Adrian said, which was true enough. Took a drive from Austin, didn't really have a plan. Sometimes no plan is the best plan. Cole glanced at him with a slight smile. You're not from Texas. That obvious, New York, Manhattan. Long way from home. Not sure where home is anymore, Adrian said, then wondered why he was being so honest with a complete stranger. Cole didn't push, just nodded like he understood. They drove in comfortable silence for a few minutes, the landscape rolling past. Adrian found himself relaxing despite the situation, something about Cole's calm presence putting him at ease. You live in Cedar Creek? Adrian asked. Just outside. Got a ranch about 5 miles from town. Cattle, some horses. Been in my family 3 generations. Sounds nice, peaceful. It is. Something flickered across Cole's face, brief, complex. Can be lonely sometimes, but mostly it's good. Cedar Creek appeared gradually. First scattered houses, then a small main street with the expected array of small-town businesses. Cole pulled up to a garage where a man in coveralls was pulling down the bay door. Jimmy, Cole called. Got a customer needs help. 20 minutes later, arrangements were made. Jimmy would tow the car in the morning, order parts, have Adrian back on the road by afternoon. Cole gave Adrian a ride to the Cedar Creek Inn, a modest motel that looked like it had been there since the 70s but was meticulously maintained. Well, Adrian said as Cole idled in the parking lot, thank you, really, you saved me. Just being neighborly. Cole smiled and it transformed his face, revealing dimples and erasing years of what looked like accumulated worry. You need anything, here's my number. He scribbled on a slip of paper. I mean it. You're stuck here overnight, town's not exactly thrilling. If you want company for dinner or just need something, call. Adrian took the paper, their fingers brushing. The contact sent electricity up his arm, unexpected, undeniable. Cole must have felt it too because his eyes widened slightly before he pulled his hand back. I might take you up on that, Adrian said softly. Cole nodded, touched the brim of his hat in an old-fashioned gesture that shouldn't have been charming but absolutely was, and drove away. Adrian stood in the parking lot watching the truck disappear, his heart beating faster than circumstances warranted. He looked down at the paper in his hand, Cole's number written in decisive, masculine script. Just being neighborly, Cole had said. But the way he'd looked at Adrian in that last moment suggested something more. Unless Adrian was projecting, reading into things because he was lonely and heartbroken, and this rugged, kind man had appeared like something out of a fantasy. He checked into his room clean, simple, exactly as advertised, and sat on the bed with his phone. 1 bar of service but enough to text. This is Adrian, the stranded New Yorker. Any chance that dinner offer still stands? The response came quickly, pick you up at 7. Adrian smiled, feeling something unfamiliar flutter in his chest. Hope maybe, or anticipation. He had 3 hours. Time for a shower, to change into something less wrinkled, and to wonder what the hell he was doing accepting a dinner invitation from a man he just met. But as he stood under the spray, washing away the day's stress and Texas dust, Adrian admitted the truth to himself. Cole Brennan had stirred something in him that had been dormant for longer than he cared to admit. Not just attraction, though the man was gorgeous, but genuine interest, curiosity, a desire to know more. It had been so long since Adrian had felt excited about meeting someone. His relationship with Marcus had been comfortable, convenient, safe. This, whatever this was, felt different, electric, dangerous in the best possible way. At exactly 7 o'clock, Cole's truck pulled into the parking lot. Adrian emerged to find Cole had changed too, clean jeans, a blue shirt that matched his eyes, his hair damp like he'd just showered. No hat this time, and Adrian could see his face fully. Strong features, kind eyes, a mouth that looked like it smiled easily despite the shadows of sadness that lingered around the edges. You clean up nice, Cole said, then seemed to catch himself. I mean. "So do you," Adrian said, letting him off the hook. The tension between them was palpable, charged. Cole opened the passenger door for him, another old-fashioned gesture, and Adrian caught the scent of his cologne, something woody and masculine that made him want to lean closer. "I thought we'd go to the Longhorn," Cole said as they drove. "Best food in town." "Only food in town, really, but it's good." "Sounds perfect." The Longhorn Grill was exactly what Adrian expected. Wood paneling, Texas memorabilia on the walls, a jukebox in the corner playing classic country. But it was warm, welcoming, filled with the smell of grilled meat and the sound of friendly conversation. Heads turned when they entered. A few people called out greetings to Cole, their eyes curious as they assessed Adrian. Small town, Adrian thought. Everyone knows everyone, and strangers are notable. They settled into a corner booth, and a waitress, Maggie according to her name tag, brought menus and water. "Well, Cole Brennan," she said with a knowing smile. "Haven't seen you in here with company in quite a while." Cole's neck reddened slightly. "Maggie, this is Adrian. His car broke down, he's just passing through." "Ma'am?" Maggie's eyes sparkled with amusement. "Well, welcome to Cedar Creek, Adrian. I'll give you boys a minute to decide." After she left, Cole shook his head ruefully. "Small town, everyone's in everyone's business." "I gathered that," Adrian smiled. "Does it bother you being seen with me?" Cole's eyes snapped to his, suddenly intense. "Why would it bother me?" It was a moment of truth. Adrian could deflect, play it safe, or he could be honest. "Because I'm not sure if you know, but I'm gay, and if that's going to be a problem." "It's not," Cole interrupted quietly. "Not a problem at all." The way he said it, the steadiness in his gaze, told Adrian there was more to that statement. But before he could pursue it, Maggie returned for their order. They talked through dinner safe topics at first. Adrian's work, corporate law, though he was reconsidering. Cole's ranch, third generation, 500 acres, mostly cattle. But gradually the conversation deepened. "You said you needed to clear your head," Cole said over coffee. "Bad week." "More like bad month. Bad year, really." Adrian found himself opening up in a way he rarely did. "My career stalled, my relationship ended badly, my family and I aren't speaking. I felt like I was suffocating in my own life." Cole nodded slowly. "I know that feeling." "Yeah. My wife left me 2 years ago," Cole said, his voice careful. "Took our daughter, she's 8 now, moved to Dallas. I see Emma every other weekend, but it's not the same as being her full-time dad." "I'm sorry," Adrian said genuinely. "That must be incredibly hard." "It is." Cole looked down at his coffee cup. "But the truth is, Sarah leaving was probably the best thing for both of us. We weren't happy, hadn't been for a long time." "Why'd you marry her?" Cole was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low, raw with honesty. "Because it was what I was supposed to do, what my family expected, what this town expected, and because I was trying very hard to be someone I wasn't." Adrian's heart rate picked up. The implication was clear, but he needed to hear it. "And who were you trying not to be?" Cole lifted his eyes to meet Adrian's. In them, Adrian saw fear and courage warring, saw a man on the edge of a confession that could change everything. "Someone like you," Cole said finally. "Someone who could be honest about who they loved." The restaurant noise faded. The world narrowed to just the two of them in this booth, this moment, this truth hanging between them like a bridge waiting to be crossed. "How long have you known?" Adrian asked gently. "Always, maybe, but I've spent my whole life in Cedar Creek. This is a small, conservative town. My parents were traditional. I convinced myself I could ignore it, marry a good woman, be normal." His laugh was bitter. "Cost me my marriage, years of my life, and almost cost me my relationship with my daughter." "Almost." "Sarah knows the truth now. She's been kinder than I deserved. And Emma's young enough that she just loves me without judgment." Cole's expression softened thinking of his daughter. I'm lucky. Are you out? To Sarah, to a couple close friends. Not to the town, not to my family. He met Adrian's eyes. I'm working up to it, being more honest little by little. Tonight, having dinner with you, letting Maggie and everyone see us together, that's part of it. Adrian reached across the table, covered Cole's hand with his own. That's brave. Cole turned his hand over, lacing their fingers together. His palm was warm, calloused, strong. Or stupid, jury's still out. They sat like that, hands joined in plain sight, and Adrian felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't just attraction. This was recognition. Two men at different points on similar journeys, finding each other at exactly the right moment. I should get you back, Cole said eventually, though he didn't release Adrian's hand. But I'd like to see you again tomorrow, if you want. I know your car won't be ready till afternoon. I could show you the ranch, maybe. I'd love that, Adrian said. They drove back to the motel in charged silence, hands occasionally brushing on the truck's bench seat. When Cole pulled into the parking lot, neither moved to get out. Adrian, Cole said finally, turning toward him. I need you to know I don't do this. I've never. I mean, since I admitted the truth to myself, I haven't acted on it. You're the first man I've ever asked to dinner. I'm honored, Adrian said sincerely. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have experience with this, and you're leaving tomorrow. I am, Adrian confirmed, though the thought now brought unexpected sadness. But tonight happened, meeting you. I don't want to waste it by being too scared to be honest. Cole took a breath. Can I kiss you? Adrian's answer was to close the distance between them. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, Cole's inexperience evident but his desire unmistakable. Adrian let him set the pace, keeping it gentle, letting it build naturally. When Cole's hand came up to cup Adrian's face, when the kiss deepened and Cole made a small sound of want and wonder, Adrian felt his heart crack open. They broke apart, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together. Wow, Cole whispered. Yeah, Adrian agreed. Come to the ranch tomorrow, please. I want to show you my world, even if it's just for a day. I'll be there, Adrian promised. He watched Cole drive away, then leaned against his motel room door, touching his lips, feeling dazed. He'd come to Texas running from his life, and somehow, in the middle of nowhere, he'd found something he hadn't known he was looking for. A connection, a spark, maybe, impossibly, the beginning of something real. Adrian barely slept. He lay in the motel bed watching moonlight paint patterns on the ceiling, replaying the kiss over and over, unable to reconcile the reality with his expectations. He'd kissed a cowboy, a closeted Texas rancher who'd been married to a woman and was still finding his way toward living authentically. This wasn't Adrian's usual type, polished, urban, confidently out gay men who knew exactly who they were. But Cole wasn't a type, he was a revelation. At 8 a.m., Adrian's phone buzzed. Morning, I'm outside whenever you're ready, no rush. Adrian showered quickly, threw on jeans and a casual shirt, and emerged to find Cole leaning against his truck, 2 coffee cups in hand. He wore work clothes today, worn jeans, a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up, scuffed boots. His hat was back, shading his eyes, but he smiled when he saw Adrian. Thought you might need this, he said, handing over a coffee. Hope black's okay, wasn't sure how you take it. Black's perfect. Adrian accepted the cup, their fingers brushing, the same electric charge as yesterday. Thank you. The drive to Cole's ranch took them further from town, deeper into the rolling Texas landscape. The sun was climbing, painting everything gold. Cole pointed out landmarks, a creek where he'd fished as a boy, the neighbor's property line, the ridge where coyotes sometimes howled at night. It's beautiful out here, Adrian said honestly. You think so? Most city folks find it too empty, too quiet. Maybe I needed empty and quiet. Cole glanced at him with an expression Adrian couldn't quite read. Maybe you did. The ranch appeared gradually. First a wooden sign reading Brennan Ranch S 1952, then fencing, then pastures with cattle grazing peacefully. Finally, a house, a single-story ranch style with a wide porch, weathered but well-maintained with flower boxes that suggested someone cared about making it a home. "This is it," Cole said, parking near the house. "Not much, but it's mine." "It's wonderful," Adrian said and meant it. Cole showed him around with obvious pride. The barn where horses nickered in greeting, the equipment shed, the pastures where cattle grazed contentedly. He introduced Adrian to his horses, a bay mare named Ruby and a gray gelding called Smoky, and Adrian watched Cole's entire demeanor change around the animals. He was relaxed, affectionate, completely in his element. "Want to ride?" Cole asked. "I mean, have you ever?" "Once at summer camp when I was 12, Adrian admitted. "I was terrible." Cole's smile was warm. "Ruby's gentle. I'll lead her if you want." So Adrian found himself on horseback for the first time in over 20 years, Cole walking alongside with the lead rope, patient and encouraging. They moved slowly through the pastures, Cole pointing out features of the land, telling stories about growing up here, about his grandfather who'd built the ranch from nothing. "It must be hard," Adrian said, "being so tied to this place, having your whole history here." "It is and it isn't," Cole said thoughtfully. "This land is part of me, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like to leave, start fresh somewhere nobody knows my history. Somewhere I could just be me without 40 years of expectations weighing me down." "What stops you?" "Emma, my daughter, she's here every other weekend. I can't leave her." His expression clouded. "And maybe fear. It's one thing to admit the truth to yourself. It's another to uproot your entire life because of it." They rode in silence for a while, the only sounds the horses breathing and the wind through the grass. Adrian felt himself falling into the rhythm of it, the peace of moving slowly through this vast landscape with this complicated, honest man beside him. Back at the barn, Cole taught Adrian how to unsaddle and brush down Ruby. Their hands touched as they worked, small moments of contact that felt charged with meaning. Cole's instruction was patient, his presence solid and grounding. "Come inside," Cole said when they finished. "I'll make lunch." The ranch house interior was masculine but comfortable. Worn leather furniture, family photos on the mantel, a bookshelf filled with ranching manuals and surprisingly literary fiction. Adrian examined the photos while Cole worked in the kitchen. Cole as a child, his parents, and prominently featured, a beautiful little girl with Cole's eyes and dark curls. "That's Emma," Cole said, appearing with sandwiches and beer. "Taken last month." "She's beautiful." "She's everything." Cole's voice was soft with love. "Smartest, funniest kid you'll ever meet. She wants to be a veterinarian." They ate on the porch, watching the afternoon sun paint the landscape. Adrian felt something unfamiliar settling over him. Contentment. The constant anxiety that had driven him from New York, the sense of running from a life that didn't fit, all of it quieted here. "Can I ask you something?" Adrian said finally. "Anything." "Last night you said you'd never acted on your feelings, but you kissed me. Why? Why now? Why me?" Cole set down his beer, his expression serious. "Honest answer." "Please." "Because you're temporary. Because you're leaving tomorrow, going back to your life, and that felt safe. I could be honest with you, kiss you, let myself feel this without the risk of it becoming complicated." He met Adrian's eyes. "But somewhere between last night and this morning, I realized that was cowardly. You deserve better than being someone's safe experiment." "I don't feel like an experiment," Adrian said quietly. "Good, because you're not. You're," Cole struggled for words. "You walked into my life yesterday and everything shifted. Like I'd been seeing the world in black and white and suddenly there was color. I don't know what to do with that." Adrian moved closer, their shoulders touching. "You don't have to do anything with it. We can just let it be what it is." "And what is it?" Two people who found each other at the right time, even if the circumstances are complicated. Cole turned toward him, close enough that Adrian could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, could count the faint sun lines at their corners. "I want to kiss you again." "Then kiss me." This kiss was different from last night, less tentative, more certain. Cole's hand slid into Adrian's hair, angling his head to deepen the kiss, and Adrian made a sound of surprise and pleasure. For someone with no experience, Cole was a remarkably fast learner. They broke apart when breathing became necessary, both flushed and wanting more. "We should stop," Cole said, though he made no move to pull away. "Should we?" "You're leaving tomorrow. This can't go anywhere." "Does it have to go anywhere?" Adrian asked. "Can't it just be this, perfect in its moment?" Cole searched his face. "I've spent my whole life being practical, doing what made sense, and it made me miserable. Maybe just this once I want to do something impractical, something just because it feels right." "What feels right?" This being honest about what I want." Cole stood, offering his hand. "Stay, tonight, be with me, no expectations about tomorrow, just tonight." Adrian took his hand, let Cole pull him up. "Are you sure?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." They spent the afternoon like teenagers, kissing on the couch, talking for hours, sharing stories about their lives. Cole told Adrian about coming out to Sarah, about the painful process of divorce, about slowly learning to accept himself. Adrian shared his own coming out story, the difficult years with his family, building a life in New York that looked successful but often felt hollow. "Do you ever regret it?" Cole asked. "Being out, would it have been easier to hide?" "Easier maybe, but easier isn't always better. I'd rather be honestly myself and struggling than comfortably living a lie." Adrian paused. "Though I'll admit, watching you navigate this, seeing how hard it is in a place like this, gives me new appreciation for my own privilege. Being out in Manhattan is nothing like being out in rural Texas." "It's changing slowly," Cole said. "Even here. There are a few openly gay people in town now, but it's still hard, still gets you looked at differently." "Are you afraid?" "Terrified, but also tired of hiding, tired of performing heterosexuality for everyone's comfort but my own." He squeezed Adrian's hand. "Meeting you, it's reminded me that living authentically is worth the fear." As evening approached, Cole cooked dinner, steaks on the grill, potatoes, fresh salad. They ate as the sun set, painting the sky in impossible colors. Adrian had never felt so far from his real life, and paradoxically had never felt more present, more alive. "I don't want you to leave tomorrow," Cole said suddenly. Adrian's heart stuttered. "Cole." I know, you have a life to get back to, a job, friends, a whole existence in New York. And I have Emma coming this weekend, I have the ranch, I can't just walk away." He shook his head. "But I also don't want to let you drive away and wonder what if. What if I'd been braver? What if I'd asked you to stay?" "I'd want to say yes," Adrian admitted. "Being here with you, it's the most peaceful I've felt in years, but we barely know each other, and our lives are so different. I don't know how this could possibly work." "It probably can't," Cole agreed. "But maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe what matters is that for one perfect day we were honest with each other and ourselves." They cleared the dinner dishes in comfortable silence, moving around each other in Cole's kitchen like they'd been doing it for years. The domesticity of it struck Adrian. This felt natural, right, like coming home. "Stay tonight," Cole said again. "Not because of expectations or what it might mean, just because I want to fall asleep with you and wake up with you just once." Adrian understood what Cole was really asking. Permission to be vulnerable, to want something for himself, to take this leap knowing it might not lead anywhere permanent. "I want that too," Adrian said. They moved to Cole's bedroom, simple, masculine, dominated by a large bed with an iron frame. Cole suddenly seemed nervous, his earlier confidence wavering. "I've never done this," he said quietly. "Been with a man, I don't know." Adrian cupped his face. "We don't have to do anything, we can just sleep, or talk, or kiss, whatever feels right." "I want everything," Cole confessed. "I want to know what it feels like to be with you, to not hold back." They undressed slowly, learning each other's bodies with gentle exploration. Cole's was muscular from ranch work, tanned on his arms and face but pale elsewhere, scattered with scars that each had a story. Adrian's was leaner, unmarked except for a childhood scar on his knee. What followed was tender, occasionally awkward and deeply intimate. Cole's inexperience meant they went slowly, communicating constantly, Adrian guiding him with patience and care. When Cole trembled against him, overwhelmed by sensation and emotion, Adrian held him through it. Afterward they lay tangled together, sweat slicked and breathing hard. Cole's voice was raw. "Yeah," Adrian agreed. "I've had sex before, obviously, but that felt like the first time I've actually made love." But Adrian's throat tightened. He wanted to say something profound, something equal to the moment, but words failed him. Instead, he just held Cole closer, pressed a kiss to his temple, and let the silence speak for them. They fell asleep like that, Cole's head on Adrian's chest, their legs intertwined, the Texas night settling quiet and peaceful around them. Adrian woke to dawn light and the sound of roosters crowing. Cole was already awake, propped on one elbow, watching him with an expression of wonder and sadness mixed. "Morning," Adrian murmured. "Morning," Cole traced a finger down Adrian's jaw. "I was trying to memorize your face, in case this is all I get." The words landed like a weight on Adrian's chest. Reality was reasserting itself. Jimmy would have his car ready by afternoon. Adrian would drive back to Austin, catch his flight to New York, return to his complicated life. And Cole would stay here, continuing his slow journey toward authenticity in a place that made it difficult. "Cole." "Don't," Cole interrupted gently. "Don't make promises we can't keep or suggest long-distance relationships that won't work. Let's just have this morning, make breakfast together, be normal for a few more hours." So they did. They cooked eggs and bacon, drank coffee on the porch, talked about nothing important. Cole showed Adrian how to feed the horses, taught him to throw hay bales, laughing when Adrian struggled with the weight. They acted like they had all the time in the world instead of hours ticking down. At 11, Cole drove Adrian back to town. Jimmy had the car ready, good as new, charging a price that seemed too reasonable until Cole quietly admitted he'd covered part of it. "You didn't have to do that," Adrian protested. "I wanted to. Consider it payment for the best day I've had in years." They stood in the garage parking lot, both aware that this was goodbye, neither quite ready to say it. "Thank you," Adrian said finally, "for everything, for rescuing me, for showing me your world, for being brave enough to be honest with me. Thank you for seeing me, really seeing me, not who I'm supposed to be but who I actually am." They hugged long, tight, neither wanting to let go. When they finally separated, both had tears in their eyes. "Drive safe," Cole said. "Take care of yourself, keep being brave." Adrian got in his car, started the engine, looked back one more time to see Cole standing there, hat in hand, looking lost and beautiful in the midday sun. Then he drove away, watching Cole disappear in the rearview mirror, feeling like he was leaving part of himself behind on a Texas ranch. Adrian made it 50 miles before he had to pull over, hands shaking too badly to drive safely. He sat on the shoulder of Highway 290, watching trucks roar past, feeling like he'd made a catastrophic mistake. Every mile between him and Cedar Creek felt wrong, like driving in the opposite direction from where he was meant to be. This was insane. He'd known Cole for barely 48 hours. They'd shared one perfect day and night. That wasn't enough to upend your entire life over. That wasn't rational or reasonable or anything his lawyer brain could justify. But his heart wasn't listening to logic. Adrian pulled out his phone and did something he hadn't done in months, called his best friend, David. "Adrian, are you still in Texas? How's the soul-searching going?" "I think I made a mistake," Adrian said without preamble. "What happened?" So Adrian told him everything: the breakdown, Cole, the ranch, the impossible feelings that had bloomed in less than 2 days. David listened without interrupting, and when Adrian finished, there was a long pause. "Okay," David said finally. "I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Are you in love with this cowboy?" "I barely know him." "That's not what I asked." Adrian closed his eyes, let himself feel the truth. "Yes, I think I am, or I could be if I let myself. God, David, I've never felt like this. Not with Marcus, not with anyone. It's terrifying." "So turn around." "What?" "Turn around. Drive back, see where it goes." "I have a life in New York, a job." "A job you hate at a firm that passed you over for partner. You said so yourself last month." "My apartment, which you've been complaining, is too expensive and too empty." "My family isn't speaking to you anyway." Adrian laughed despite everything. "You're supposed to be the voice of reason." "No, I'm supposed to be your best friend. And as your best friend, I'm telling you that I've never heard you sound the way you did when you talked about him. Alive, hopeful, happy." David's voice softened. "Life's too short to walk away from something real just because it's complicated. If there's even a chance this could be something, don't you owe it to yourself to find out?" After they hung up, Adrian sat for a long time, watching the Texas landscape, feeling the truth settle into his bones. He could go back to New York, pick up his life where he'd left it, unchanged, unsatisfied. Or he could be brave. As brave as Cole had been, kissing him despite the fear, being vulnerable despite the risk. Adrian started the car, checked his mirrors, and executed a U-turn. He made it back to Cedar Creek by late afternoon. Instead of going straight to the ranch, Adrian stopped at the Longhorn Grill. Maggie looked up in surprise when he entered. Well, thought you'd left us." "I did, I came back." Adrian slid into a booth. "Can I ask you something, off the record?" Maggie's expression sharpened with interest. "Depends on the question." "Cole Brennan, what do people in town think of him?" "That's the question." She poured him coffee without asking. "Cole's been part of this town his whole life. People respect him. His divorce was hard on folks. Everyone loved Sarah, but they understood it wasn't working. And if he were to come out, be open about being gay." Maggie studied him for a long moment. "Is that what this is about?" "Maybe." She sat down across from him, voice dropping. "Honey, this is a small Texas town. Some folks would have a problem with it, sure. The older generation especially. But it's not the 1950s anymore. We've got gay people living here openly, and the world hasn't ended. Cole's a good man. Most people would accept him." She paused. "The question is whether he'd accept himself." "He's working on it." "Good, he deserves to be happy. Been watching him fade for years, trying to be what everyone expected." Maggie smiled. "You're good for him. I could see it at dinner the other night. He looked alive again." "I barely know him." "Sometimes you know. My Henry, I knew I'd marry him after one date. That was 42 years ago." She stood, patted Adrian's hand. "Don't overthink it, city boy. Some things are worth the risk." Adrian drove to the ranch with his heart in his throat. Cole's truck was parked by the house, and as Adrian pulled up, the front door opened. Cole emerged, stopping dead when he saw who it was. They stared at each other across the dusty yard, the afternoon sun painting everything gold. "You came back," Cole said, his voice carrying disbelief and hope in equal measure. "I got 50 miles away and realized I was making a mistake." Cole descended the porch steps slowly, like he was afraid Adrian might disappear if he moved too quickly. Your flight. I missed it. Your job. I can work remotely, or find something new, or figure it out as I go. Cole stopped a few feet away, searching Adrian's face. What are you saying? I'm saying I don't know what this is or where it goes, but I want to find out. I'm saying that I've spent my whole life making safe, practical choices, and they've made me miserable. So maybe it's time to make an impractical choice. Maybe it's time to take a leap. You don't even live here. Not immediately, but eventually. I could work remotely or take the bar here, or Adrian laughed at himself. I'm getting ahead of myself. I just know I don't want to walk away from you, from this. Not yet, not without seeing if it's real. Cole closed the distance between them in 3 strides, cupped Adrian's face in both hands, and kissed him like he was oxygen and Cole had been drowning. Adrian melted into it, hands fisting in Cole's shirt, feeling right for the first time since he'd driven away. When they broke apart, both were crying. This is crazy, Cole said. Completely. I'm not out. I'm still figuring out who I am. I have a daughter who has to come first. I live in the middle of nowhere doing a job that ties me to this place. I know. And you're willing to stay anyway, to deal with all that mess. I'm willing to try, if you are. Cole pulled him close, buried his face in Adrian's neck. I'm terrified. Me too. But I want this. God, I want this so badly. They stood like that in the ranch yard as the sun sank lower, holding each other, both trembling with fear and hope, and the weight of the decision they were making. So what now? Cole asked finally. Now we figure it out together, one day at a time. I like the sound of that. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of adjustment. Adrian extended his motel stay, then rented a small house in town. He arranged remote work with his firm, trading his partnership track for flexibility and autonomy. It meant less money, less prestige, but more freedom, more life. He met Emma one Sunday when she came for her weekend visit. She was as beautiful and sharp as her photos suggested, with Cole's eyes and Sarah's grace. She assessed Adrian with the frank curiosity of 8-year-olds. Are you my dad's boyfriend? She asked over breakfast. Cole choked on his coffee. Adrian and Sarah, who'd insisted on meeting Adrian and had been surprisingly warm, exchanged glances. Yes, Adrian said, because honesty seemed important. Is that okay with you? Emma considered this seriously. Does it make him happy? I hope so. Then it's okay. He's been sad for a long time. I like when he smiles. Later, Cole told Adrian that Emma's acceptance had cracked something open in him. If his daughter could embrace his truth so easily, maybe he could too. Cole started coming out gradually, first to his closest friends, then to his employees, finally, terrifyingly, to his parents. His father took it badly, needing time and space. His mother cried but ultimately came around, more concerned with Cole's happiness than her expectations. The town gossip mill churned for a few weeks. 2 men living together in Cedar Creek was news. But Maggie had been right. Most people were accepting, or at least polite. The ones who had problems kept their distance, which was fine with both of them. Adrian discovered he loved small-town life more than he'd expected. The pace was slower, the connections deeper. He started doing pro bono legal work for locals who couldn't afford Austin prices. He learned to ride horses competently, helped Cole with ranch work, spent long evenings on the porch watching stars you couldn't see in Manhattan. But it wasn't all easy. They fought about Adrian's tendency to work too much, about Cole's difficulty being affectionate in public, about how to navigate Emma's feelings and Sarah's concerns. They struggled with the reality of building a relationship under public scrutiny, with Cole's lingering internalized homophobia, with Adrian's impatience with the pace of change. 3 months in, they had their worst fight. Adrian wanted to attend Austin Pride together. Cole wasn't ready for something so public, so explicitly queer. Adrian accused him of hiding. Cole accused Adrian of not understanding how hard this was. Adrian slept at his rental house that night, angry and hurt. But the next morning, Cole showed up at dawn. "I'm sorry," he said. "You're right, I am hiding. I'm scared of what it means to be fully out, to claim this identity publicly, but I'm more scared of losing you." "I don't want to push you faster than you can go," Adrian said, "but I also can't go back in the closet for you. I did my time there. It nearly killed me. I'm not asking you to hide. I'm asking you to be patient while I catch up." Cole took his hands. "I want to go to Pride with you. I'm terrified, but I want to. Will you come with me?" So they went to Austin Pride, Cole's first, Adrian's 10th. They held hands in the parade, wore matching rainbow shirts, kissed in public for the first time surrounded by thousands of celebrating queer people. Cole cried through most of it, overwhelmed by the acceptance, the visibility, the joy of being himself without apology. "I never knew this existed," he said, watching drag queens dance past. "A whole world where being gay isn't something to hide or fix, it's just normal." "It's your world too," Adrian said, "if you want it." "I do, I really do." That night, lying in their hotel room, they decided to make a weekend of it. Cole turned to Adrian with unusual seriousness. "Move in with me, to the ranch, not as a guest but as home." Adrian's heart skipped. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure about you, about us. I want to wake up with you every day, not just when you drive out from town. I want to build a life with you, a real one." "What about Emma?" "Emma loves you, and Sarah thinks it would be good for her to see me in a healthy relationship, to grow up knowing that love comes in all forms." "Then yes," Adrian said, smiling through sudden tears. "Yes, I'll move in with you." They made love that night with new intensity, knowing they were cementing something permanent, choosing each other fully for the first time. 1 year after his car broke down on a lonely Texas highway, Adrian stood on the porch of the ranch that had become home, watching the sun rise over land he now knew as intimately as Cole's body. Every ridge, every creek, every secret, beautiful place. So much had changed. He'd officially relocated from New York, shipping his belongings to Texas and closing that chapter of his life without regret. He'd passed the Texas bar exam and opened a small practice in Cedar Creek, specializing in family law and LGBTQ+ advocacy. He'd learned to rope cattle badly, mend fences competently, and make Cole's grandmother's famous biscuits perfectly, which had won over Cole's mother completely. Cole had blossomed in ways Adrian found breathtaking. The sad, closeted man he'd met had transformed into someone comfortable in his own skin. He was out now, to everyone, without asterisks or qualifications. He joined a regional LGBTQ+ ranchers group, was mentoring a younger gay man in a neighboring town, and had even given an interview to the local paper about being an openly gay rancher in rural Texas. The article had caused some waves, but mostly positive ones. Cole had received messages from queer kids in surrounding areas thanking him for visibility, from parents asking for advice on supporting their LGBTQ+ children, from other closeted rural adults finding courage in his story. "You started a revolution," Adrian had told him, reading through the messages. "I just told the truth," Cole had replied. "Turns out there were a lot of people waiting for permission to do the same." Emma came every other weekend and 2 weeks in summer. She'd adjusted to the new family configuration with remarkable grace, even asking if she could call Adrian Papa to distinguish him from Daddy. Both men had cried when she first used it. Sarah had started dating someone seriously, a woman named Linda who Emma adored, and the 4 adults had formed an unlikely co-parenting team. They celebrated holidays together, attended Emma's school events as a united front, and modeled for her what healthy, honest relationships looked like. Cole's father had eventually come around, showing up one day to help with fence repairs and gruffly informing Cole that he was still his son and nothing would change that. They weren't fully healed, but they were trying, and that was enough. But the best change, the one that made everything else possible, was the way Cole loved him. Openly, without reservation, with a depth that came from finally being free to express his truth. Today was special, though. Today they were hosting the first annual Cedar Creek Pride Picnic, Cole's idea, supported by the town council and a surprising number of local businesses. It was small by city standards, maybe 50 people expected, but for a town of 2,000 in rural Texas, it was revolutionary. Adrian had been nervous all week. What if no one came? What if protesters showed up? What if they'd pushed too hard, too fast? But Cole had been calm. "We're planting seeds," he'd said. "Even if only 5 people show up, that's 5 people who'll know they're not alone. That matters." At noon, cars started arriving. Families with queer kids, teenagers who'd driven from neighboring towns, older couples who'd been together for decades but never had community. The Longhorn Grill provided food. Maggie had insisted. Local businesses donated supplies. The mayor, who'd been skeptical but eventually supportive, stopped by to welcome everyone. Adrian watched Cole working the crowd, introducing people, making everyone feel welcome, being the visible, proud gay man he'd never imagined he could be. Adrian's heart swelled with love and pride. "You did this," Sarah said, appearing beside him with Emma and Linda. "Cole did this." "You both did. He wouldn't have had the courage without you," she smiled. "Thank you for loving him well, for showing him it was possible." As the afternoon wore on, something magical happened. People relaxed. Kids played together without the self-consciousness that often accompanied being different. Adults swapped stories, exchanged numbers, formed connections. A teenage boy came out to his parents for the first time, emboldened by the supportive environment. They cried and hugged him. And half the picnic celebrated with them. "This is what we needed," an older man told Adrian. He'd driven from 2 towns over with his husband of 30 years. "All this time, we thought we were the only ones, but look at us. A whole community we didn't know existed." As the sun began to set, Cole found Adrian and pulled him aside to their favorite spot, a ridge overlooking the ranch with a view that stretched for miles. "I have something for you," Cole said, suddenly nervous in a way Adrian hadn't seen in months. "Cole, you've already given me everything." "Not everything." Cole pulled a small box from his pocket and dropped to one knee. Adrian's breath stopped. "Adrian Castellano," Cole said, his voice thick with emotion. "A year ago you broke down on a highway and I found you. Or maybe you found me. I think we found each other exactly when we needed to. You've given me the courage to be myself, the joy of being loved authentically, and a home that's more than just a place. It's us. You've shown me that it's never too late to live honestly, to take risks, to choose love over fear." Tears were streaming down Adrian's face. "I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to build this dream together, this ranch, this community, this family. I want to watch Emma grow up with 2 dads who love each other and aren't afraid to show it. I want to grow old on this porch, watching sunsets just like this one, with you beside me every single day." Cole opened the box, revealing a simple gold band. "Will you marry me?" "Yes," Adrian managed through tears. "Yes, absolutely yes." Cole slipped the ring on his finger, a perfect fit, like everything else between them, and stood to kiss him. Adrian held him close, tasting salt from both their tears, feeling the solid reality of the man he loved, the life they'd built, the future stretching out before them full of possibility. "I love you," Adrian whispered against Cole's lips, "so much it terrifies me." "I love you too, and I'm not scared anymore. Not of who I am, not of what people think, not of anything except losing you." "You won't lose me. I'm here, I'm home." They stood on the ridge as the sun painted the sky in impossible colors, holding each other, both thinking about the chance meeting that had changed everything. One broken car, one act of kindness, one moment of courage that had led to this. 6 months later, they married in a ceremony on the ranch, surrounded by chosen family and blood family, by Emma in a flower crown and Maggie crying happy tears and Cole's parents who'd come around completely and were proud to call Adrian their son-in-law. Sarah read a poem about second chances. Emma sang a song she'd written about her two dads. David flew in from New York to be Adrian's best man, whispering, "I told you to turn around" during the vows, making Adrian laugh through tears. When the officiant pronounced them married, when they kissed as husbands for the first time, the cheer that went up could probably be heard in the next county. They danced under string lights as the Texas stars emerged, surrounded by love and acceptance and the community they'd helped build. "No regrets?" Cole asked as they swayed together, the party continuing around them. "Not a single one, you. Only that I didn't meet you sooner, that I wasted so many years pretending to be someone I wasn't. But if you hadn't lived those years, you wouldn't be the man you are now, the man I fell in love with." Adrian kissed him softly. "Everything happened exactly when it needed to." "That's very wise." "I have my moments." They danced until their feet hurt, celebrated until the last guest left, then stood alone in their ranch yard under a sky full of stars. "Ready to start the rest of our lives?" Cole asked. "I've been ready since the moment you stopped to help a stranded city boy on a lonely highway." "Best decision I ever made." "Second best," Adrian corrected. "The best decision was being brave enough to kiss me." Cole laughed, pulled him close. "Fair enough. Come on, husband, let's go home." They walked hand in hand into the house they'd made together, Cole's family ranch now belonging to both of them, filled with Adrian's books and Cole's ranching equipment, Emma's artwork on the fridge and wedding photos on the walls. A home built on honesty and courage and the revolutionary act of loving authentically. Adrian stood in the same spot where Cole had proposed, watching the sunset paint the Texas landscape in shades of gold and rose. Behind him, the ranch bustled with activity. They were hosting the 5th annual Cedar Creek Pride Picnic, now attended by over 300 people from 5 counties. So much had grown from that first tentative gathering. They'd started a support group for LGBTQ+ youth. Cole had testified before the state legislature about rural queer issues. Adrian's law practice had expanded to help LGBTQ+ families across the region. Cedar Creek had become known as a welcoming oasis, a place where queer people could live authentically even in rural Texas. Emma, now 13, was helping organize the picnic, her confidence and compassion a testament to being raised by parents who loved openly and honestly. Cole appeared beside Adrian, sliding an arm around his waist. At 46, he was more handsome than ever, sun-weathered content, completely comfortable in his skin. "Thinking deep thoughts?" Cole asked. "Thinking about that day my car broke down, how terrified I was, how lost. And now I'm found, we both are." They stood together watching their community celebrate, watching the life they'd built ripple outward in ways they'd never imagined. One chance meeting had changed everything, not just for them, but for everyone who'd found courage in their story. "No regrets?" Cole asked, the same question he'd asked on their wedding day. Adrian turned to his husband, his partner, his home. "Not a single one, you. Only that I didn't know it was possible to be this happy." Cole kissed him softly, unbothered by who might see, proud to love this man openly. "Thank you for breaking down on my highway." Adrian laughed. "Thank you for stopping." As the sun set on another perfect Texas evening, they walked back to the celebration hand in hand. Two men who'd found each other against all odds and built something beautiful. Not just a life, but a legacy. A reminder that courage begets courage, that visibility matters, that love, real, honest, authentic love, can change the world. One chance meeting at a time.